Can you imagine? It's a beautiful morning. Sunlight filters through the window. You open your eyes, ready to get out of bed like every other day. But this time, your legs begin to tremble. You can't stand up on your own. You have to call someone, just to help you take those first few steps. Sounds far-fetched? For millions of people over the age of 60, this isn't a nightmare, it's reality. Every year, hundreds of thousands of older adults leave their beloved homes for nursing facilities, not because of a major illness, not because of a fall, but because they no longer have the strength to live independently. The cause isn't cancer. It's not a heart attack. It's something quieter, slower, but far more frightening. Age-related muscle loss, also known as sarcopenia. In the next few minutes, you're going to discover why your muscles can fade away even if you're doing nothing wrong. How to rebuild your strength, without medication, without a gym. And 10 powerful nutrition secrets your doctor may have never mentioned. We're about to begin this journey, not just to protect your body, but to hold on to something even more important. Your independence, your freedom, and the quality of life you truly deserve, at any age. So stay with me. Because what you're about to hear may forever change how you think about aging. The hidden epidemic, why age-related muscle loss is stealing your independence. Let me tell you a quick story. A few months ago, I met a woman named Eleanor, 74 years old. She's the kind of person who always had a smile ready, always the first to offer help at church, and never missed her morning walk around the block. But when I saw her last, she wasn't on her feet. She was sitting in a wheelchair, in an assisted living facility. Not because of a stroke. Not because of a serious injury. But because she could no longer climb a few stairs, or even get off the toilet without assistance. I don't understand, she told me. I haven't been sick. I didn't fall. I just, slowly got weaker. That's the terrifying part about sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't come with warning signs like a high fever or chest pain. Instead, it sneaks up quietly. A little fatigue here. A little stiffness there. Until one day, the muscles that used to carry your body through life, just stop responding. So what exactly is sarcopenia? Sarcopenia is the gradual loss of muscle mass, strength, and function that happens as we age. It usually starts around age 30, but it accelerates rapidly after age 60, especially if we're not doing the right things to stop it. It's not just about not being able to lift heavy things anymore. It's about balance, mobility, and independence. Muscles don't just move us, they stabilize us, protect our joints, and even help regulate metabolism and blood sugar. Without enough muscle, even simple tasks, getting up from a chair, carrying groceries, opening a jar, can become exhausting. And here's the most heartbreaking part. By the time most people realize they're losing muscle, they've already lost up to 30% of it. Here's the lesson. Aging is inevitable. Losing muscle doesn't have to be. It's not about staying young forever, it's about staying strong enough to live the life you love, for as long as you can. Eleanor told me something that stuck with me. If I had known muscle loss was a real condition, I would have paid more attention to it. I thought it was just part of getting older. But it doesn't have to be that way, not for you. In the next part of this journey, we're going to talk about something most people overlook. Why your muscles are the engine of your entire health, and why protecting them is the smartest thing you can do as you age. Let's take a closer look. Why muscle is more than just strength, it's your metabolic engine. Most people think of muscle as something that belongs in the gym. Big arms, firm legs, six-pack abs. But here's the truth no one talks about enough, muscle is not just about strength. Muscle is your body's engine. It's what burns calories, even when you're resting. It helps control your blood sugar. It supports your immune system. And it acts like a sponge, soaking up the nutrients your body needs to function. Let me share another story. This one is about Richard, a 66-year-old retired teacher from Oregon. Richard was always pretty lean. He never had a weight problem, didn't eat junk food, and still went out for walks every morning. But about a year ago, his doctor told him something surprising. His blood sugar was creeping into pre-diabetic levels. He was confused. "I eat healthy," he said. "I don't even like sweets. Why is this happening?" His doctor ran a body composition scan and found the missing piece. He had lost nearly 20% of his muscle mass over the past decade. Less muscle meant less ability to store and process glucose. That made his body more insulin resistant. And that was the real reason his blood sugar was rising. Muscle is one of the most metabolically active tissues in your body. The more you have, the more efficiently your body burns fuel, even when you're sleeping. Lose too much, and your metabolism slows down. You start gaining fat even if your diet hasn't changed. You feel tired more often. And over time, conditions like type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and even cognitive decline become more likely. Here's the quiet truth. You don't need to be a bodybuilder to benefit from muscle. You just need enough of it to keep your system running smoothly. That's the real power of muscle. Not just the ability to lift a heavy box or open a jar, but the ability to keep your entire body, your heart, brain, hormones, and energy, working the way they're meant to. So here's the takeaway from Richard's story. If you want to protect your health, start with your muscle. Because it's not just tissue, it's a signal of how well your body is aging. Now that you understand how muscle affects so much more than strength, let's talk about the biggest mistake people make when trying to stay healthy as they age. It's not about exercise. It's not about cutting carbs. It's something much more common, and far more dangerous than most people realize. Let's dive into that next. The number one mistake seniors make when trying to stay healthy. When most people hit their 60s or 70s, something shifts. They start cutting back. Smaller portions. Less meat. More salad. And above all, less protein. It's well-meaning, of course. You hear it everywhere: eat light, avoid red meat, too much protein is hard on your kidneys. But here's the surprising truth. As we age, we actually need more protein, not less. I remember chatting with Martha, a 70-year-old widow who had just moved into a retirement community. She was doing everything right: oatmeal for breakfast, soup and crackers for lunch, a small salad for dinner. She even skipped dinner sometimes to keep her weight down. But after just 6 months, she noticed she couldn't walk as far. Her knees felt weaker. And one day, she tripped getting out of bed and bruised her hip. When her doctor checked her diet, it was clear. She was getting less than half the protein her body actually needed. You see, aging muscles become less responsive to the signals that trigger growth and repair. This is called anabolic resistance, and it means that the older you are, the more high-quality protein you need to maintain the same muscle you had when you were younger. That's why a 30-year-old might maintain muscle with 50 grams of protein per day. But someone in their 70s may need 75 to 100 grams or more, depending on their body weight. Here's the most common mistake. People think muscle loss is caused by inactivity. And yes, that's part of it. But even if you walk daily or stretch, if you're not giving your body enough protein, your muscles simply don't have the raw materials they need to stay strong. Here's the lesson. Eating light is not the same as eating right. You can eat healthy, clean, organic. But if your plate is missing protein, it's also missing protection. So how much is enough? A good rule of thumb is 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. That means a 150-pound person should aim for at least 68 grams of protein daily, and possibly more if you're active or recovering from injury. Now that you know the mistake to avoid, let's move on to the solution. And it starts with something you may already have in your fridge: A simple, creamy, high-protein food that can help you rebuild muscle even while you sleep. Let's talk about that next. The muscle-boosting power of Greek yogurt, if you eat it right. A few weeks ago, I was visiting a friend whose mother, Helen, is 76. She greeted me at the door with a bright smile, wearing an apron and holding a mixing spoon. "I'm making my nightly snack," she laughed. "A bowl of Greek yogurt with a few blueberries and walnuts. I call it my muscle dessert." I thought she was joking. But she wasn't. You see, Greek yogurt isn't just a breakfast item or a midday snack. For older adults, it can be a powerful tool for rebuilding and protecting muscle, if you eat it the right way. Unlike regular yogurt, Greek yogurt is strained to remove excess liquid. This makes it twice as rich in protein, especially a type called casein. Casein digests slowly, releasing amino acids into your bloodstream over several hours. That's why eating it at night, like Helen does, is so smart. During sleep, our bodies enter a natural fasting state. For younger people, this isn't a big deal. But for older adults, this overnight period can become a time when muscle breakdown speeds up. By having a source of slow-release protein before bed, you can protect your muscles all through the night. Helen told me, "I started doing this after I had a fall last year. My doctor suggested adding more protein, but I didn't want shakes or meat late at night. Greek yogurt was easy, and it actually helped." After a few months of her nighttime yogurt habit, Helen said she felt steadier on her feet. She didn't feel as stiff in the mornings. Her energy improved. Greek yogurt is also high in calcium, vitamin D, and probiotics, all of which support bone health, gut health, and inflammation control. And these are all connected to how well your muscles work. But here's the key. Not all yogurt is created equal. Many pre-flavored options are packed with sugar, which can increase inflammation and undo many of the benefits. Instead, choose plain, full-fat Greek yogurt. Add your own fruit, nuts, or even a drizzle of honey if you like a little sweetness. Here's the lesson. Sometimes the most powerful changes come in the smallest bowls. It's not about dramatic overhauls, it's about quiet, consistent habits that support your body from the inside out. Now, Greek yogurt is a fantastic source of slow protein. But what if you need something that works faster, especially right after movement or exercise? That brings us to a food that's often misunderstood, but may be the most effective protein source for aging muscles. Let's explore that next. Why whey protein is more than a gym supplement. If you walk into any gym, you'll probably see someone shaking up a bottle of whey protein. It's often thought of as something just for bodybuilders or athletes. But what if I told you whey protein might be one of the most powerful tools for people over 60? Let me introduce you to Frank, a 71-year-old retired mechanic from Colorado. Frank was never a gym guy. He preferred working in his garden or fixing old radios in the garage. But after a minor surgery, he noticed his recovery was slow. He felt weaker than usual, even after weeks of rest. His physical therapist asked him, "How much protein are you getting?" Frank paused. "I don't know. I have toast for breakfast, soup for lunch, maybe some chicken at dinner." That's when his therapist suggested something simple. Add a daily whey protein shake. So what makes whey so special? Whey protein is derived from milk and contains all 9 essential amino acids, but it's especially rich in one called leucine. Leucine is like the on switch for muscle building. It triggers a pathway in your cells called mTOR, which tells your body, it's time to grow and repair muscle. And here's the magic. Whey digests fast. That means it floods your bloodstream with amino acids quickly, especially useful after movement or exercise. This is key for older adults, because our muscles become less responsive to protein as we age. We need more, and we need it at the right time, to get the same effect we once did. Frank started drinking 1 scoop of whey in a smoothie after his short walks or therapy sessions. Sometimes he'd blend it with frozen berries, spinach, and almond milk. Within 6 weeks, he noticed his energy returning. He could lift heavier things in the garden again. Even his balance improved. He told me, "I used to think protein powder was just for young people. But now it's just part of my morning." A few tips if you're considering whey. Look for whey isolate or concentrate with no added sugars or artificial sweeteners. If you're sensitive to dairy, hydrolyzed whey is easier on the stomach. Aim for 20 to 30 grams per serving, ideally within 30 minutes after activity. Here's the lesson. You don't need a gym membership to benefit from whey. You just need to give your body what it's quietly asking for, the right fuel at the right time. So now we've talked about 2 powerful protein sources. Greek yogurt for slow, steady support. And whey protein for fast, efficient muscle repair. But what about a food that's been on our plates for generations? Often misunderstood, sometimes even avoided. And yet, when chosen carefully, it can do wonders for aging muscles. Let's talk about that next. Red meat, friend or foe? The truth about lean beef and aging muscle. A few years ago, I had dinner with Walter, an 80-year-old retired firefighter. He looked sharp in his button-down shirt, and he stood taller than most men half his age. When the food came, I noticed something interesting. While most of us were picking at salad or chicken, Walter ordered a lean steak, medium rare. "I eat this twice a week," he smiled. "Not for taste, well, maybe a little, but mainly because it keeps me on my feet." For years, red meat has gotten a bad reputation. Too much fat, too much cholesterol, too risky for the heart, right? But the truth, like most things in nutrition, isn't that black and white. Especially when we're talking about lean, high-quality beef in the context of aging and muscle health. Red meat, when chosen wisely, is one of the most complete sources of protein available. A 4-ounce serving of lean beef, about the size of your palm, packs around 25 grams of protein, including all the essential amino acids your muscles need. But what really sets beef apart is its high content of leucine, yes, that same muscle-activating amino acid we talked about earlier. And beyond protein, beef delivers something else your body craves as you age. Creatine, a compound that helps your muscles store and use energy more efficiently. It's naturally found in your body, but levels decline as we get older. Food sources like beef help replenish it, keeping your muscles stronger and more responsive. Back to Walter. He told me that after a small fall a few years ago, he began researching how to rebuild strength. What surprised him most was that plant-based protein alone wasn't enough. He needed the density of nutrients found in foods like lean red meat. So with his doctor's guidance, he added beef back into his routine, just a couple of times a week. "And you know what?" he said, slicing his steak with ease. "I haven't needed my cane since." Of course, not all red meat is created equal. Here are a few simple tips. Choose lean cuts like sirloin, round, or tenderloin. Grass-fed beef may offer higher omega-3s and fewer inflammatory fats. Keep your portions moderate, 4 to 6 ounces, 2 to 3 times per week. Here's the lesson. You don't have to fear red meat. You just have to respect it, and choose it with intention. For older adults, it's not about eating more, it's about eating smarter, and sometimes, a well-prepared piece of lean beef can be exactly what your muscles are looking for. Now, we've talked about protein sources from dairy, powders, and meat. But there's another food group that plays a different, equally important role. Not in building muscle directly, but in protecting it from something that slowly eats away at it every single day. Inflammation. And the antidote? It swims in the sea. Let's take a closer look. The omega-3 advantage, why fatty fish rebuilds aging muscle. I once met Gloria, a retired nurse living on the coast of Maine. She was 78, sharp as a tack, and still walked to the farmer's market twice a week. When I asked her what she thought was the secret to aging well, she didn't even hesitate. Fish, she said. Lots of it. Salmon, sardines, mackerel, the good oily kind. I've been eating it since I was a girl. At first, I thought she was talking about heart health. But as we spoke more, it became clear, it wasn't just about the heart. It was about her muscles. You see, fatty fish is rich in omega-3 fatty acids, especially two types called EPA and DHA. These healthy fats do something remarkable for aging muscles. They help reduce chronic inflammation, the kind that slowly wears down muscle tissue over time. But even more fascinating, omega-3s have been shown to make muscles more sensitive to protein. That means when you eat protein, from yogurt, beef, or eggs, your body actually uses it more effectively if you've got enough omega-3s in your system. In one study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, older adults who consumed omega-3s regularly showed significantly greater muscle volume and strength, compared to those who didn't, even when both groups ate the same amount of protein. That's the power of fish. Gloria told me that when some of her friends started feeling stiff, or noticed their legs getting weaker, she suggested something simple. Try eating salmon twice a week. Just give it time. She swore by it. And based on the science, she's got a point. A 4-ounce serving of fatty fish like salmon gives you about 20 grams of high-quality protein, a powerful dose of anti-inflammatory omega-3s, and even a little bit of vitamin D, which is crucial for both bone and muscle health. And if fish isn't your favorite, there are high-quality fish oil supplements that can offer many of the same benefits. Just make sure to choose one that's third-party tested for purity and potency. Here's the lesson. Sometimes the best medicine doesn't come in a bottle. It comes from the sea, flaky, flavorful, and full of strength-restoring goodness. Now that we've covered the muscle-building power of proteins and the muscle-protecting power of omega-3s, let's not forget one more piece of the puzzle. Micronutrients and antioxidants, tiny but mighty nutrients that help your muscles repair, recover, and stay young. And some of the best ones come from a colorful, surprising source. Let's take a look. Rebuilding muscle with eggs, nuts and berries, the forgotten trio. Last summer, I visited Tom and Irene, a couple in their early 70s living just outside Seattle. Every morning, they had the same breakfast ritual: 2 boiled eggs, a small bowl of mixed berries, and a handful of almonds. Simple, but powerful. Tom joked, "It's our anti-aging formula. And we haven't missed a morning in 5 years." It turns out, they might be onto something. Let's start with eggs. They're one of the most complete, bioavailable sources of protein you can find. That means your body absorbs and uses the protein from eggs better than almost any other food. But here's the key: you need the whole egg, not just the white. The yolk contains nearly half the protein, plus leucine, vitamin D, and choline. Nutrients that help muscles fire properly and recover faster. In one study, older adults who ate whole eggs after exercise built significantly more muscle than those who ate egg whites with the same amount of protein. So if you've been avoiding yolks because of cholesterol fears, it might be time to rethink that. Moderate egg consumption, up to 7 a week, is not only safe for most people, but actually beneficial for heart and muscle health. Next up, nuts and seeds. They're not as protein-packed as meat or dairy, but they bring something else to the table: micronutrients that support muscle function. Almonds are rich in magnesium, which plays a key role in muscle contraction. Pumpkin seeds offer zinc, supporting hormone balance. Walnuts are full of plant-based omega-3s, which help reduce inflammation. And because they're calorie-dense and easy to snack on, nuts are great for older adults who may struggle with appetite or weight loss due to aging. And finally, we have berries: blueberries, strawberries, blackberries. They might not seem like muscle food at first glance, But these little fruits are packed with antioxidants, particularly anthocyanins, which protect muscle cells from oxidative stress. As we age, our muscles become more vulnerable to damage and slower to recover. Berries help protect and repair, making sure that the effort you put into eating well or staying active actually pays off. Back at Tom and Irene's home, I asked them why they stick with the same breakfast. Tom smiled and said, "Because it makes us feel good. We don't just eat to survive anymore, we eat to stay strong." And I think that's a beautiful way to look at it. Here's the lesson. Sometimes, the best support for your muscles doesn't come from powders or pills, but from simple, whole foods you can find in any kitchen. Eggs, nuts, and berries, the forgotten trio, quietly work behind the scenes to help you move, heal, and thrive. Now, we've talked a lot about what to eat. But just as important is how you combine these foods into a daily rhythm, and how you support them with movement, timing, and consistency. In the next part, let's talk about why food alone isn't enough, and how pairing these nutrients with even light activity can unlock their full potential. Why exercise alone isn't enough, but combined with these foods, it's magic. A few years ago, I met George, a retired postman who prided himself on staying active. At 72, he walked nearly 3 miles a day, rain or shine. He said, "I've always believed if you keep moving, your body will stay strong." But then something unexpected happened. Despite his daily walks, George started noticing weakness in his legs. He couldn't get up from low chairs as easily. Carrying groceries became harder. His doctor ran a few tests and gently told him, "George, you're losing muscle mass. Walking is great, but it's not enough on its own." That might sound surprising. Isn't exercise the answer to everything? The truth is, movement is only half the equation. Yes, exercise, especially resistance training, is essential for maintaining and building muscle. But your muscles are like construction crews. Exercise gives them the job, but if you don't provide the materials, like protein, omega-3s, and key nutrients, they have nothing to build with. No matter how many miles you walk, how many squats you do, if your body isn't getting the right fuel, your muscles can't respond, repair, or grow. George was shocked. He thought he was doing everything right. But after working with a nutritionist, he added more protein to his meals, Greek yogurt in the evening, eggs and spinach in the morning, and a whey protein shake after his afternoon walks. Within 2 months, he noticed the difference. He wasn't just moving more, he was moving better, stronger, more stable. He told me, "The walking keeps me young, but the food keeps me going." Here's the simple science. Exercise stimulates muscle growth. Nutrition provides the raw materials. But only together do they create real, lasting strength. And it doesn't have to mean lifting heavy weights. For many older adults, gentle resistance training, using bands, body weight, or light dumbbells, combined with 20 to 30 grams of protein afterward, can trigger muscle growth and repair more effectively than either alone. Here's the lesson. Your body wants to be strong. It's waiting for your signal, and your support. So keep moving. But remember, every movement becomes more powerful when it's fueled by the right foods. And now, to bring it all together, let's talk about what an ideal day might look like when you combine all these tools. A full day of meals and habits designed to protect and rebuild your muscle. Without stress, without extremes, just simple, steady support. Let's take a look. Build your muscle-saving meal plan, what to eat in a day, with real-life menu. I remember sitting down one afternoon with Linda, a 69-year-old grandmother who had just watched a health segment on muscle loss. She looked at me and said, "Okay, I get it, I need more protein. I need the right foods. But what does that actually look like in a normal day?" It was a great question. Because knowing what's good for you is one thing, But knowing how to make it part of your everyday life? That's what really changes everything. So let's walk through a simple, realistic day of eating that supports muscle health. Not just for bodybuilders, but for people like Linda, and maybe like you. Breakfast, start strong. Menu: 2 whole eggs, scrambled with spinach. 1 slice of whole grain toast with avocado. A few slices of fresh tomato. 1 cup of black coffee or green tea. Why it works. The eggs provide complete protein and leucine. Spinach adds magnesium and antioxidants. And whole grains plus healthy fats from avocado help fuel your morning without weighing you down. Linda called this her power plate. And she said just switching from oatmeal to eggs made her feel fuller, longer, and more energized for her morning walks. Mid-morning snack. Menu: Greek yogurt, plain, full fat. A handful of blueberries. A sprinkle of chia seeds. Why it works. Slow digesting protein to prevent muscle breakdown before lunch. Berries fight inflammation. And chia seeds add fiber and healthy fats. Lunch, balanced and satisfying. Menu: grilled salmon or a can of wild-caught sardines. Quinoa or brown rice. Steamed broccoli or roasted carrots. A drizzle of olive oil and lemon. Why it works. You get high-quality protein, omega-3s, and complex carbs to support muscle repair and energy. Olive oil helps fight inflammation and aids in nutrient absorption. Afternoon snack, post-activity. Menu: whey protein shake, 20-30 g protein, blended with almond milk and frozen banana. Why it works. Quickly absorbed protein that feeds your muscles right when they need it most. Perfect after a walk, gardening, or light strength training. Dinner, light but nourishing. Menu: lean beef or turkey meatballs. Mashed sweet potato. Sautéed green beans. Mixed greens with olive oil and vinegar. Why it works. Lean meat offers protein and iron. Sweet potatoes provide potassium and slow carbs. And a little healthy fat rounds out the meal without making it heavy before bed. Evening snack, optional. Menu: half a cup of Greek yogurt. A few walnuts or almonds. A touch of honey or cinnamon. Why it works. Slow-release protein that works overnight to protect muscle. Walnuts add plant-based omega-3s. And it feels like a treat, without the guilt. Linda tried this plan for just 2 weeks. She didn't follow it perfectly. She didn't count every gram. But she told me. I felt stronger. More stable. And I didn't realize how weak I had been feeling until I started feeling good again. That's the real win. Not a number on a scale, or a perfect routine. But a quiet return of strength, confidence, and independence. Here's the lesson. Small choices, repeated daily, build strong muscles and a stronger life. You don't need to overhaul everything. You just need to start, with 1 plate, 1 meal, 1 step at a time. Now, before we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect. Because what you've learned today isn't just about food or fitness. It's about hope. In the final part of this video, I want to leave you with a few simple reminders. And an invitation to take the next step toward a stronger, freer version of yourself. Let's finish this journey together.